Good morning. Welcome back. Welcome back to Who Am I? The little show I do every day, actually not every day, if you noticed. If any of you were expecting a show yesterday and you noticed I didn't do one, I'm going to tell you why. I had a little problem with life. I became emotionally distraught a couple of days ago, and yesterday when I tried to do the show, I just could not find my broader perspective. I couldn't find it. And so I said, you know what? I'm not going to do it. Anyway, yesterday, I could not get away from my small self. I could not find the bigger picture. It just all seemed very small and meaningless to me yesterday, and I couldn't see myself getting into the show, so I slept in instead. I will have one more show tomorrow, and then I'm off for a week when we go traveling. I'm going to put my recorder down and just live life for a week, and when I come back, I'll pick up the show again and we'll see where we are. Who am I? Who am I, and what is the meaning of our lives? What is the object of the exercise? What is the point of us being here? What are we supposed to be doing? Well, I'll tell you what I think we're supposed to be doing. I think we're supposed to be adding it all up and trying to figure out what it is we're looking at. Each and every one of us has a valid perspective on it. And each and every one of us has the ability to add it up for ourselves and figure out the meaning of what we're looking at. What does that mean? What are the laws of the universe? What are the rules of the game? How do I use the equipment I have been issued? Although that is incorrect to say have been issued. You have not been issued your equipment. You are your equipment. You coalesced your own equipment. You did it. You are it. Figure it out. So that's way easier said than done. And there's so many moving parts. There's so many aspects to the game. It's so easy to get distracted and caught up in funny directions. But I think that we need to keep our eyes on the part of it that matters. So why do I look at specific things? Part of what matters is the set of things that we need in order to stay alive, to stay physically in our bodies. Those are the 7 aspects Bashar tells us. That's water, air, sleep, food, shelter, water, air, sleep, food, shelter, relationship, and expression. That's those 7 things. We need those things or we will cease to be. We need them individually. We need them collectively. We need those things. And all biological beings need something like that. Even like the birds in the trees, they have relationship with each other and their expression is their song. You know? So what song are you singing? And are you doing it individually or are you doing it to the world? Who are you? Ask yourself that. Who am I? And a big thing to pay attention to, a really important part of the equation to keep your eyes on is pay attention to how you feel. Pay attention to how you feel. And, I know that, so I was feeling really sorry for myself. And it's kind of stupid, the thing that threw me over the edge. But it is one of the few things that matter to me. But it hasn't mattered to me enough that I've been practicing or taking lessons or But my bowling actually does matter to me because it is the center of some of the what little social interaction that I allow from the outside world comes from the bowling alley. Some of it, Some people, they have their church, or maybe they have, I don't know, they have different ways to organize with the rest of the world and interact with the rest of the world. And I do need interaction with the rest of the world. I am not an island. I know that doesn't surprise you because you're like, well, duh, nobody is. But sometimes you can kind of get to thinking that you are. Anyway, it was horrible. It was horrible. I was trying to pre-bowl for my team because I'm going to be gone next week, right? And so I wanted to give them at least my average, or maybe no less than 10 pins under my average, because that's what they're going to give me if I don't show up with a score. They're just going to give me 10 pins below my average. Well, unfortunately, I bowled 40 pins below my average. And I fled the bowling alley after the first game in tears, distraught, spent the whole day feeling sorry for myself, and then could not do the show yesterday. Isn't that pathetic? Because I didn't bowl good, that is just hysterical to me in a way. That is so... How does something that distorted happen? I'm always telling my sister-in-law, we are not our bowling, because sometimes she bowls, she bowls less than she wants to, and she gets really upset about it. And I'm always, I'm up and down, and, even if I bowl poorly, I'm laughing at it. Oh, but this was not funny. This one was not funny. It was horrifying, and I just somehow it struck me. There's people out there enduring war, and there is so much. Actually, I am suffering from the climate issue right now. The Southwest is under a dome, a high dome of a high pressure that it is. All of New Mexico has been blistering, and we haven't had rain in a month, and it's been way hotter than usual. Yesterday, we're well into almost the end of the second week of October, and the high was 90 degrees yesterday. This is horrifying that we can't do this. We've got to help our planet. It really is important. And we also need to live our lives. And we also need to have fun. And we need to care how we feel. And we need to move in the direction of all things that matter around us. What matters to you? It's so funny. When I use the word matters to you right now, I'm thinking literally in terms of matter. Because this show really is. I do attempt to skim the surface of unified physics, but you're not going to get any math out of me. You're not going to get equations out of me, and you're not going to get a lot of historical... the adding in of the forefathers of quantum physics. There'll be a little bit of this, but if you're looking for hardcore physics, you're not going to find it here. What you're going to find here is me talking about spinning my repartee about the universe, spinning the universe into all kinds of different swirly, twirly shapes and forms as we pull this idea together. How does unified physics line up with law of attraction? How does everything fit together and not fit together? Maybe that's hard to talk about, because when you talk about how everything fits with everything, in a way, to other people, you're not illuminating anything for them. You're not, it's like, it means something to me, these things I'm saying, but does it really mean anything to anybody else? Does anybody else have any idea what I'm talking about when I talk about adding things together? Adding it all up in addition consciousness versus subtraction consciousness, which is that way of looking at the world as an and or an or. Does that make sense to you? How does all of this add up to me living a better life? Me understanding my world better? And how does all of this adding up equal us finding a ubiquitous and stable energy source for all of our ideas? The very idea of having faith that one exists, of focusing our attention in the direction of what we want, which is a solution to our energy problem. I cry out unto you, O Lord. You know, that kind of thing. Do you have faith that there is an answer? That actually is an interesting question. It's part of what Abraham brought me. I met the ideas of Abraham Hicks and the Law of Attraction when I first read the first book called Law of Attraction, written by her. She was very inspired by the channeled entity Seth, who was channeled by Jane Roberts, and there's books that she wrote while channeling this entity. The wisdom of Seth, and I don't know, just look up Seth, and it gets a little more stilted the farther back you take the channeling, the history of channeling. The entities that have channeled, they were more disjointed at first. Like, check out A Course in Miracles. That is a channeled work. A pair of people did that, actually. A pair of disparate, not what you would expect. They had philosophical differences. They were not the same kind of people at all. And yet, and that's an interesting story. The whole story about how A Course in Miracles came into being. And then when you look at it, what it is, I mean, it's crazy. It's basically, there's a 365-day progression, a course of understanding. It sort of breaks apart into infinitesimal bits the way you look at the world and gets you to rethink it. And it's really quite esoteric, and it takes a while before it starts settling in on you the full picture of what this course is doing to your conscious awareness of all the layers of feeling and being and knowing that you are layering, slathering on your view of the world, that the world is not as cleanly what you think it is, that it is so being influenced by your structure of consciousness. Who you are as you look at the world, you are the instrument, the lens through which you see the world, and you are so influencing what you think the world is. And so don't have such hubris. Be more humble about the nature of the world. Drugs will do this to you. I'm not saying get on drugs and stay on drugs. I'm saying ever having taken a drug and then not be on a drug. What kind of drugs? Actually, even pharmaceutical legal ones will do it, but recreational legal ones here in my state now, marijuana is recreational, and marijuana will definitely do this to you. Raise your awareness of how much your consciousness structure is giving to your view of the world. And how do you subtract that out of it so that you can see what the world actually is? Well, the world actually is this quantum field of information exchange going on. That's what it actually is in its most abstract state. You can see it that way, and then you're the one who's bringing all the meaning to it. You are the meaning, interestingly enough. And then as you identify the things around you that equal who you are, you think that you're seeing meaning in it. And you kind of are, but it's because the meaning is in you. And you're the one identifying, this is me, this is me, this is me, this is me, as you act, as you think, as you evaluate the world and choose your friends, choose your actions, choose the hills that you stand on, choose the battles that you fight. Choose all of that. You are saying, this is who I am, this is who I am. You're the one bringing meaning to it all. So anyway, the Course in Miracles, that's a channeled work, and it shows you that you are the one assigning meaning to the world. Everything that you see that means anything, you're the one doing it. And we didn't actually make it through I have not done it's very intense. We were studying it. We were doing my daughter and I were going to a local study group at the community center down the road right in 2019. Guess what interrupted it? COVID. That's exactly what interrupted it. And a lot of the people that were doing it were old, and I wasn't the one in touch with them anyway, and we never got in touch when the world opened back up, and besides that, my life moved on. So I had been studying, trying to figure out the meaning of the world, the meaning of myself. Who are we? What the hell is going on? What am I supposed to do with the rest of my life? So we're studying A Course in Miracles. COVID shuts the world down, and I run into the book Law of Attraction. And I read it, and it was like, oh, wow, this is so familiar sounding. Boy, all of the teachers that I have been listening to, they have sort of implicitly understood this law. You know, or it seems like they have, or they're using it, you know. Joe Dispenza and even Deepak Chopra and different people, but they're using it, but they are not necessarily consciously using it, and they're certainly not referring to it, not baldly. But I felt like I had met the spark that put everything else in motion. It showed me how all of the facts that I knew and all the feelings that I felt and all the seemingly disparate things that I understood, it showed me somehow how they were in motion. What made the things move? That which is like unto itself is drawn. That's a motion. What you put out is what you get back. That's an actionable law, and I had never heard it said like that. And they say this, Abraham's a they. It's a cadre of non-physical consciousness. What it is it's Esther, through her complete lack of resistance and 100% allowing and willing and just feeling good and feeling full of whatever, was able to channel through the wisdom of Seth, because they studied that. Her husband Jerry was actually the one who had all the questions. And somehow Esther, in her state of allowing, became the one who answered. They started channeling through her. It's sort of this group of I don't know, It's a funny story how she started doing that. How she started moving her nose, in the shape of letters. And it was a while before she realized that, oh, that's what I'm doing, and they started spelling out what it was that her nose was doing. And then it got, as they made contact with this, whatever it is, Abraham, it got smoother and smoother, so that then it didn't have to be the nose. Now it's speaking through her voice. At first it was crazy. There was so much energy channeling through her, the buzz, she had to hold on to things. And apparently there's video of her in the earliest days of her channeling Abraham that will never see the light of day. We're not going to ever see that. They're very personal and private, as Esther got a grip on this thing that she does. But they claim that ask and it is answered. Ask and it is answered. Ask and it is answered. Step 1, you do. Step 2, Source does. And it is not up to us. You just have to know that it's done. And then, in order to find what the answer is, you have to go in faith, knowing that the answer is there. Vibrationally speaking, the Lord has answered you. But where is it? Where is the answer? You have to go find it. Be vibrationally in harmony with the allowance of the answer. And so we have asked. What have we asked for? We have asked for a better energy supply. A better energy source. One that does not kill the world as we follow our dreams. Our dreams of beautiful architectural creations and whizzing around the world, visiting one another in love and fun and interest and relationship and knowledge, the pursuit of knowledge, and all of the things that we do that are right and are good should not be shut down because our energy source is crap. We should just change our energy source, not shut down who we are. So we have asked. The law of attraction, ask and it is given, should imply that there is an answer. There is an answer. So I think that the stuff that I talk about every morning is actually the answer. The fact is we can tag in, we can plug into source energy. I don't know how. I just know that everything says that we can. I can't see any reason why we can't, other than the fact that we don't understand how to. That seems like a simple hurdle for a human being, because we're amazing. All we have to do is put our mind to it and know that it's possible and keep... Well, that's what Nassim Haramein did. He worked on this from the time he was a young questing boy and somehow broke free from conventional education is where he sort of parted company and went his own way, and in his own way for 25 years put his mind to trying to figure out what he was looking at and how this works. Only he had a mind, a beautiful mind of mathematics and physics. And what he was trying to figure out was how the physical world works, how it fits together. How does this all add up? How does this add with this, add with this, add with this, add with this? It's all an addition problem. It's an addition problem. It's not a subtraction problem. When you are focusing on the truth and the meaning of the universe, it's an addition problem, not a subtraction problem. It's not this or this. We're not fine-tuning in the sense that we're rejecting this and rejecting that and finding the one shining truth at the center of it all. It's not like that. It's you take the one shining truth that you know at the center of it all, and you have to figure out how everything else that you know is sitting there existing, how it somehow fits with that one thing that you know, or whatever. Because it's an addition problem, not a subtraction problem. Hitler found that out. He tried to subtract things that he thought didn't fit. You know, in real literal, harsh, real raw, God, that is such a raw, harsh example of us when you study that wartime, that war. The World War Part 2, not World War II, that we commonly call that, because that would imply World War III, and I'm not going to believe that we're going to have World War III. That would be really stupid. That would be really, really stupid. We're not going to have World War III. We need to understand who we are and where we're going and how this works, so that we can find our blessed, amazing, harmonious future. What's the object of the exercise? Well, I say it every day. I think the object of the exercise is joyful sustainability. And if not joyful sustainability, let's start with sustainability. Or we could start with joyful. I don't know whether you can subtract these. We're not going to be very very joyful if we don't sustain, because when 8 billion people are part of a species that's on its way to extinction, that sounds like 8 billion stories of agonizing tragedy. 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 We're not going to let that happen. As a matter of fact, Abraham tells us that way more is going good than is going bad. Things are always working out for us. So I'm going to have to believe that. There is a lot going well. The sun is coming up. It's probably getting light out there even as I speak. Certainly it is. 6:30, it's at least getting light. It's not very light out there, but it's getting light. The sun comes up every morning. Rain falls on the land. The plants grow. The crops grow. The water runs. But to say all these things doesn't always make you feel better when you understand what human beings are doing to the degradation that we are inflicting upon our beloved mother planet. It's not right, and we can't keep doing it. I'm sorry, golf and the day just interjected into my mind for a second, and I got to hold my higher perspective, my broader perspective, the one where we are all in it, Keep my mind in we have stuff, people checking out. I think we've got people checking in too, but I forgot to double check that with my daughter. I think so, because we've got to turn over and I don't think we just have to do it just in case somebody checks in. I think we have 2 more days. The full balloon fiesta has been booked at our Airbnb. So who am I? Who am I? And what's the point of all of this? Well, I'm trying to get better and better at pulling my whole self together from my broader perspective and having a little chat with my fellow human beings about it in the process. So you're witnessing my getting better at this, and me doing it is offering me the opportunity to get better at this. It's both orating and just chitty-chatting, from a comfortable position. Hitler did this. Only he didn't do it like this. He didn't just chitty-chat to a microphone. He orated into a mirror, and he practiced his dramatic expressions, and But he went in by himself and talked to himself a lot. And then he had one of his mentors. Who was it? Who would it have been? I gotta go back and watch again. Borman? Might have even been Goering. They performed different services to him as they helped him fine-tune his message, because they absolutely believed in his message. And Goebbels, well, anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm a student of Hitler, in case, although I'm not a follower of him, so fear not. Fear not. This is a big red flag kind of a academic study. This is like way, way, way what not to do. How not to think. Unless you want to invite the whole world to another absolute shit show catastrophe of talk about Loki, Shiva, demonic energy focused in a maelstrom of a vortex of chaotic energy. That's what that was. Organized chaotic energy, because the other side organizes. The chaotic, there is the anti-positive vortex of organizational structure. It's all about organization. If you're trying to understand to the ground, all the way to the ground, the meaning of the world around you, you're looking at organizational structure. It's all organizing along the intentions of why ever the organization was conceived. It's organizing to create a healthcare system, or organization to organize a softball team, or to organize a block watch, or a bake sale, or a religion, or a marathon, or anything, a business, a sports team, a prayer group, anytime you want to organize people in the sense of, we're going to meet here at this time and everybody converge on this spot, and we're all going to think and talk about the same thing, and then we're going to clean up the side of the road, or we're going to learn how to bake fudge, or whatever. I guess you don't bake fudge, you make fudge, but you don't bake it. It's stovetop. You get what I mean. But it's all about organization, and that organization starts with intention. And depending on what the intention was when that organization was started, because you start the organization and then it develops a momentum of its own, especially if the intention of it engages anyone else around, and they pick it up and they continue the organizational structure of the same intention. Now, depending on what are the threads and strands of that intention to begin with, what does it look like when time flows that organization into bigger, larger and larger momentum? Now you can see all of the threads of all of it, and you can see where some of those threads were not blessed and others are. What had their roots in fear or anger or hatred, or and which ones I'm looking at our military structure in my mind. I'm looking at our medical system. The parts of our medical system that are blessed are the parts where the intention was the loving kindness and to aid and abet, to aid and alleviate the suffering of fellow human beings and help bind their wounds and make them feel better and be better. All of that, when you look at the medical system, you can see the momentum of that having traced through time, and it's still there. There is still good intention. There is still kindness and in the medical field. But there's a lot of other things too. Does a profit, and not even just a reasonable small profit, but large profit. There's massive profit. As a matter of fact, billions and billions of dollars in profit that some people are realizing as profit. And that intention is flowing through the whole thing too, poisoning it. So what am I really talking about? What do I talk about every day? I talk about spirits, I guess I'm talking about. That's kind of crazy. I don't really know what I'm talking about. I don't know where the discussion is going to end up being. Am I just going to get more and more out there until finally people go, okay, now you finally lost me. You have finally lost me. Well, remember, the universe is vibrational. It is vibrational in nature, so it actually makes sense to start training yourself, although you do have, I can walk out into the world and observe it in a 3D kind of way, just like you do. I mean, absolutely. I walk through, spaces where I'm looking at all the objects and I'm relating to myself as an object and I'm flowing with all the objects around me, just like you do. Of course I can do that. But it's helpful if you can train yourself to see the world vibrationally and know that if you swear allegiance to the proper vibrations, swear allegiance to the spirit, and then just kind of be easy about the world. Be easy about it. Flow easy from where you are. Because actually that's the only way you really are swearing allegiance to that easy, loving, kind, flowing, funny, happy, positive spirit that you are. That's the one you need to swear allegiance to. Know that that's who you are. And if you find yourself in a state where you're being something else, like I was for the last, I had 24 hours of ick there for a minute. Actually, it was a little more than 24 hours. It came out of it yesterday. Started feeling better. Then had a moment of digestive issues, which I will not illuminate any farther than that. Maybe I was cleansing, some poisonous entity released from my physical body. I don't know. I do know that once you start thinking about it as vibrational as opposed to always objective and physical, but more subjective and vibrational, when you can see it from one aspect to the other, but more you hold your allegiance on the vibrational side, although you can see from one end to the other. When you start doing that, I think the world flows more correctly to you. That's not how I was going to begin. That's not the end that I was going to offer, but I've lost it now. Who am I? Who am I indeed? Am I vibrational? Am I objective? Am I subjective? Am I conventional? Who am I? Well, the answer is you're everything. You're all of it. And your consciousness is the seat of it's like the bridge of your starship. that is flying you through all of the universe. And actually, all of the universe is right here with you. You do not actually have to leave your chair in order to have all of the information of the universe here with you, and your ability to bring the whole universe to you. You could sit in your chair and bring the whole universe to you. Say if, for instance, you were in a wheelchair and you couldn't move around. Say if you couldn't speak. Say if you couldn't hardly move. All you could do was flick your eyes. You could still bring the whole world to you. I got a theory about that. I think you could. I think you could. Now, hopefully that never happens to me and I have to test such a thing. I am enjoying being able to move around. I am losing my eyesight, and I don't appreciate that much. I still have quite a bit of it left. It's sort of incrementally dissolving as gunk builds up on the back of my macula. And I don't really know exactly how to fix it. My faith tells me that there is a way. And my husband is always looking in terms of what are other people thinking about? How are other people coming up with cures for this? Have they come up with a cure for her yet? Because she doesn't want me to go blind, because I can still drive. I can still see well enough to drive, but because in full daylight is one of the times where I can see the best. I just have to keep scanning because I have little pockets of blindness. And so I just have to keep moving my field of vision around so that I keep covering, so that nothing jumps out at me. A bicycle along the side of the road that appears in my blind spot. Or, I can see where the lane is and stuff. I don't do anything where there's a lot of traffic moving around because it takes me longer to figure out, to process movement. So I stay on my tootly little village road, only in broad daylight, 35 miles an hour, very little traffic. I had to make it all the way from across town the other day. But anyway, I know that there is a way to cure this. I know there's a way to cure this. I just haven't figured out exactly what it is. I don't have as much faith in the cures that other people come up with as much as I have faith in the possibility of me figuring out how to trace back. I don't meditate. This is my meditation, but it's not meditation, is it? It's oral. I'm doing something outward, but I try to stay in the land of pure positive energy. I'm not in a negative state here. Although I'm not purely vibrational. So interesting. I have told this story because I heard it fairly recently. Nassim Haramein was talking about having changed the shape of his nose. And the way he did it was he went back in, he did sort of a meditation where he went back through, he meditated and traced, followed the spiral back through the time of his life, back to when he was in the womb and then conceived, and then back to his genetic makeup, and found the source of that hawk nose, whoever his ancestors were, and he changed it, scared some little girls to death, just about. He bet them their piggy bank that he could do it. And then he meditated for about an hour, went to sleep. The next morning when he got up, and they took one look at him and they could see the difference in his nose. Well, that sounds like the kind of thing I could do to fix my freaking eyes, because my problem is genetic. I mean, the source of it comes from a gene. Now, Bruce Lipton will point out that the gene didn't cause it because 75% of the people who have this genetic marker don't present with Stargardt's disease, but 25% of them do, and I'm one of the 25%. So I could figure out how I am one of those special people why did I present? Or I could go back and flip the gene through my own personal control of epigenetics. I absolutely believe it's possible. Do I have the discipline? Have I done the work? Am I that good a meditator? Well, not yet. But, as my eyes degrade and my irritation and frustration and, as my heart cries out in anguish about losing my eyesight, as I care how I feel, and I do not want to be in a state of anguish, maybe I will be inspired to go find that modality that will help me solve it. I can still see enough, and I don't really know where the answer is. So otherwise, I just go out and just find the answer. I don't know where the answer is. But I know there's an answer. I could do it. There is a way. All it is there's a kind of a tacky buildup. A vitamin A, there's something wrong with my processing of vitamin A. And so instead of making my eyesight better, vitamin A is not metabolizing properly, and it's building up on my macula and making it not pure. It's not clear. I don't like it. As the years go by, if you become a fan of the show and you check in with me every once in a while and see how that crazy woman is doing with her trying to get us all off fossil fuel and onto source energy and us to understand ourselves and all that stuff, maybe I'll find a way to fix my eyes. And I'll tell you, I have a lot more faith in my ability to fix my eyes than I do of Western medicine and their pharmaceutical-based approach. They want a pharmaceutical-based approach because the pharmacies can sell you something. This is what John D. Rockefeller set up back in the early 1900s. It was like 1913 he started this project of setting up the pharmaceutical colleges and the pharmaceutical laboratories and the medical school and the legal system, so that if you did your due diligence and you did all of the such and such animal testing of the pharmacology that you're developing, and then if you did X amount of that and that was satisfactory, then you could start clinical trials, and then and then he set that system up. And we all called him a philanthropist. At one point, we used to think about more mind-based remedies, hypnosis and energy therapies, vibrational therapies. There was all kinds, but such quackery. And then there was the book Trilby came out. A lot of people don't even know that this was a big thing that everybody knew about. The biggest best-selling book of all time, besides the Bible or whatever, was this book, or it was it may not be the biggest seller. Harry Potter might have, surpassed all of it by now, but it was a huge, biggest bestseller for the longest time. A book called Trilby came out in the late 1800s. And it was all about this creepy, ethnic, he might have even literally been Jewish, guy who was a hypnotist and took advantage of some young girl that he was hypnotizing and then abusing. And it became a sensation, and there was all kinds of therapies that were in there budding, hypnotherapies and stuff that fell right out of vogue immediately because people didn't want to have anything to do with that because of the potential for abuse that they could see from this book Trilby. It actually had a big effect on how humanity, which direction humanity took the what do we do with our health thing. And then John D. Rockefeller, who was forced to diversify, he was all in the Standard Oil. He was all about that. He was forced to diversify, and so he became a air quote philanthropist as he went out and set up this horrifying structure of legal, pharmacy, medical, underpinned by vivisection. And this is how come I learned about it back in the 80s when I was learning the history of vivisection. And then that's when my eyes were opened about this big, gaping, raw, horrible wound in the side of our medical model. How this... I still don't know how to appropriately express how I feel about that. This poisonous, ugly thing at the center of our Western medicine model, vivisection. I really don't know what the state of it is right now. I know that back in the 80s, it was I remember the number as being something around $7 billion industry, if you can imagine. A $7 billion industry is what vivisection was. Now, I have not heard any big crying outrage about we might be incrementally moving away from it. There were things that we used to do that we don't do anymore, and there wasn't a big deal made about us not doing it anymore. We used to strap baboons into cars and then crash them, and then study how badly cracked up the baboons were. Oh, this baboon isn't as badly cracked up as that baboon, so this safety device must work better than that one. That was in the world before crash test dummies, who do a much better job because they can have sensors all over their body and give you all kinds of data directly to a computer, telling you how well that safety equipment worked. But in the world before crash test dummies, we used to do that with living creatures. We would strap baboons and chimpanzees and such into vehicles and then crash them. We're monsters. We are just monsters. And it gets worse than that. And I was absolutely aghast at this as I'm growing up. And I'm growing up in a world where I'm not surrounded by anybody really at this point telling me what the meaning of my life is. I'm 20-some years old. My father has moved away and married another woman because he divorced my mother when I was 18. She is off doing her thing and having her own existential life crises of faith. She doesn't believe in her religion for a minute. She drinks, she parties. She's no help. All of my brothers and sisters have gone their own way. They have scattered to the winds. They have married and moved away. And I am left holding my own bag. Now, to be fair, I've always been kind of fairly independent-minded, and it's hard for anybody to tell me what to do anyway, so it's not like I was in anybody's face saying, include me, include me. But there I was, and I come across this information as I'm trying to figure out what my world is. I'm 20-something, I'm trying to figure out what my world is, and I come across this monstrosity that is vivisection. in a world where all of my people, things are changing in this way. Industrial farming is becoming a thing. All the small farmers are losing their farms. That's how come they had that big band event, Farm Aid, right after Live Aid, right after, there was Hands Across America. There was all these movements where they were trying to bring the entertainment business and the social consciousnesses of entertainers were trying to pull bands and events together to raise millions of dollars to help to throw money at these problems. Well, money wasn't enough to change the trajectory of what was happening, because it's all happening because we don't know who we are, and the energies are just moving the way they will move, and there was nothing going to hold that tide back. And those well-meaning entertainers, they didn't understand the vibrational nature of the world and what was happening. Anyway, what am I saying? Well, in the 80s, as I'm trying to grow up and figure out what my world really means, I have no religion, because remember, I threw that away at 14. So I'm on my own trying to figure it out. The rest of my family is no help because they're all gone. I'm on my own. I'm not married. And I come across this horror that is vivisection, and then I realize, oh my God, it's worse than I thought. My people really don't know they really don't understand the world. Look what they're doing with their medical model. Look at this enormous gaping flaw at the center of our medical model. How can you trust even the medical field? You can't trust anybody, I thought. And except what you do is you trust the feeling. Don't trust the people. Trust the feeling. And what does that mean, to trust the feeling and not the people? So you have a feeling and I don't know. I've gotten lost. I'm almost an hour up, too, so the show's almost over. What have I been talking about? Who am I? Every once in a while, I guess the audience is going to have to ask, who am I, that I should be doing this this show. Who am I? I am a human being on planet Earth. I have been issued the same equipment that all of you have. I say that, of course, we haven't been issued it. You have made it yourself. You came into this yourself. And when you pass away, when you re-emerge into non-physical, you will find that you have the capability of recoalescing into another body should you choose. Or you can just dance with the non-physical for a minute. Relish that. You will know immediately that you are one with the allness. That is the one thing that I think that you need to understand. In physical or not in physical, you are one with the allness. The thing is when you are in a physical body, your attention is not in the place where you are one with the allness. You are with your specificity here in your physical body. You're here to be specific. When you are one with the allness, you're back with the general. You're here to be specific. So who are you? And what are you doing with your life? And who have you pledged allegiance to? The forms or the spirit? Very interesting question. The spirit is actually AKA, also known as vibration. The spirit is vibration. Pay attention to how you feel, because that is your broader perspective, your inner being telling you how you are blending with it. And it is with it that you want to blend, because she knows who you are and what you want. And she knows who everybody else is and what they all want too. And she can lead you right to the place where it's a win-win-win-win for all of us. And we are all cooperative components to the same collective venture. Joyful sustainability on this planet. Joyful sustainability. That's what we're looking for. No war. Let's play together fun. Let's turn the physical project into clay that we can mold to our joyful desires. That's because that's that formula. Play goes to clay. And when your state of being is harsher and in a negative state of more serious and whatever, then the world turns to iron. Play turns it to clay. Negative emotion turns it to iron. Because your state of being is the most important part of the equation. No matter where you are, no matter what it is you are trying to organize. Because from that organizational spirit of pure intention and pure vibration, you're going to get all the cooperative components that you want, that you need to any of your specific ventures. What do you want to do? What do you want to organize? What do you want to accomplish? Imbue it with that spirit, and it will work. Anyway, I'm past an hour. I'm going to get my day started. Don't have any idea what I'm going to do today, so I don't know what to tell you about. Tomorrow I will be back for one more show before my week off. Taking a vacation, taking a week off. I'll see you on the other side of that, but I will see you tomorrow. I appreciate your patronage. I appreciate your faithfulness. If you are indeed one of the ones who ever watch me from end to end. I hope I have somebody who does that. Driving through the woods or... Anyway, until tomorrow, it is my prayer, it is my hope, it is my wish, it is my deepest desire that we find ourselves, that we find who we really are, that we pull ourselves together, pull together everything that we know in wisdom, in truth, in joy, in fun, in love, and find our way to our blessed collective future, our joyful sustainability. And until tomorrow, as always, please find your source. May it be with you. Actually, it's always with you. You go be with it.